Hey, what's up? Otaku Mike here. Let's talk about Dork, issue number 1. He's half orc, half dwarf. Warning, there will be spoilers. The story starts out surprisingly enough with a little bit of backstory. We have our two warring factions on this continent, the land of light and the land of darkness. They're fighting over this little sliver of land called the Scar. Many have fought and died over this. There's no heroes there, there's no villains there, there's only death and one person who actually lives there. You see our young character named Dork. He is actually scurrying around in the trees, trying to stay hidden within the Scar. He has been hidden for the past 20 years. He comes across this group of orcs who is actually grilling up a killed unicorn. They're singing about how their grilled unicorn meat is going to make their farts smell so sweet. As he is observing this, as this is all going on, he actually has a conversation with this magical shield right there, who has a thirst for blood. He's like, come on, let's go kill them. We gotta go get them. I'm yearning for some destruction. And Dork's like, look, we talked about this for the past 20 years. We are not killing anybody. Lo and behold, some other people actually show up to this campfire. And who happens to show up but people from the light? They have noticed that one of their unicorns has gone missing because the dark goblins have killed it. As this is all going on and they are about to fight, they hear a voice up in the tree, which is just Dork arguing with his shield about what they're going to do to kill these people or not to kill these people. So both sides end up stopping the fight, and they're like looking up at the tree thinking, why is this tree talking? And we hear shield say, "Begone, creatures of darkness and light, you will be doomed." And we hear one of the people pipe up and say, "Hey, tree of the Scar, are you friend or foe?" And they're like, "Oh, that's a good question, Frizzard. I would love to know that." Which leads Dork to go on a little bit of a rant, because he drops down and he's like, "Frizzard, what is that?" He's like, "Well, I'm a frog wizard. That's what it is. You just took two different names and mushed them together, and that is your name? That is ridiculous." Kind of the pot calling the kettle, you know. So everybody stops and they're like, oh my god, is that the Dork? The being born of light and darkness. The one who was prophesied to actually destroy our worlds. And Dork looks at Shield and he's like, "I blame you for this." And Shield is like, "I've been waiting 20 years for this. I choose violence." And he decimates everybody, the good guys and the bad guys. He does not discriminate at this point. It kind of takes control of Dork and just goes haywire, and it's a bloody mess. So after everything happens, we see Dork and the Shield. They're at a tavern, and the Shield asks Dork, "Hey, so what now?" And the Shield's like, "Look, both sides know you exist, and they all think you're a part of some prophecy to end the world." And Dork is like, "What prophecy? I am nobody with no prophecy." And he chimes in, Shield does, and he's like, "Yeah, they don't know that, but they think that. They think you're some bad person." And he's like, "Look, you gotta choose a side, dark or light. Just pretend one is right and one is not right." And Dork is like, "Why should I choose a side?" Because you need to choose a side, because that's what one does, right? He's like, "Why do I need to choose a side? Both sides suck." So as this is all going on, we see a fight break out, and one of the waiters, who happens to be a chicken, goes up to them like, "Can you please stop? You know, this is a nice family establishment. You know, we just want people to enjoy their drink and their dinner." And one of the people goes to actually attack the chicken, which Dork steps in, and he's like, "Look, I thought he told you to take this outside." And he punches the guy, and he holds up the chicken. He's like, "Look, does anybody else want to harm this defenseless looking yet delicious looking chicken?" And the fight breaks out again, which leads to Dork choosing a side. He doesn't choose the side of light or darkness. He chooses the side of helping out this chicken, and he ends up going into a berserker rage. Unfortunately, he goes a little too far and accidentally beheads the chicken. So Dork comes out of his berserker rage, and he is shocked that he actually killed somebody. Or did he kill somebody? Because the body of this chicken is actually still walking around. He decapitated the chicken, but the chicken's soul is still around, which is his head. And he's like, oh, you look like you have one of those death shields, a magical shield that has like a soul implanted into it, which has some like magical properties of some kind. And Dork is like, oh my god, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get back to the scar. I gotta get back to my insignificant life. Hopefully I can get there. And he just takes off with the shield and a decapitated chicken. Unbeknownst to Dork, we actually see the kingdoms of light and darkness. They both simultaneously get letters finding out that Dork is actually alive, and they send their best warriors to go track him down to go murder Dork. They send a orc and a dwarf to go kill a dork. All right, so let's take a look at the internal artwork for this book. Here is your creative team right up there. And the artwork in this book just blew me away. I love the cartoony art style in this. Like, it very much has its own style and flair. Everybody looks distinct in a way. You know, they have their own personalities. The line work and the creativity in this is amazing. I love the color just pop off the page. It is just a fun book to look at. And this might be weird to say, but if you've ever seen like Don Bluth animation, like Dragon Slayer or like Land Before Time, stuff like that, he was a very like well-known like animator. He made tons of movies. This is what it reminds me of. Like if Don Bluth like did a comic book, like so much style in this, and we get into the fight scenes, and the fight scenes are so over the top and crazy. They very much remind me of like when and Ryan Otley would like draw like an invincible fight scene, because like they're just so like crazy and over the top. And it's something that I was not expecting going into this, is having like such a fun, almost cutesy cartoony looking book become something so grotesque and violent. And I am all here for it, I have to say. Like, a beautiful book. So, what exactly did I think of Dork issue number one? Well, I really thoroughly enjoyed this. This was a fun first read. I have nothing negative to say about it whatsoever. I was really interested to see like what this book was going to be about. I kind of went into it very much blindly. I just looked at the cover and I was like, I gotta get this. This seems like a fun book, and it's something that I actually feel like it takes things from different elements from other fantasy things like Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, and like shapes its own thing into its own narrative. I will say that the whole good person, you know, being prophesized to destroy the world, a little bit cliche, but it pokes fun at it and like has its own like fun with this little twist that it does in this first issue, which we do get a lot of info within this first issue of like what are the ins and outs of this world, but it doesn't do the thing that a lot of first issues do, is give us a info dump. It very much like makes the story flow naturally when telling us about Dork and the shield and the between the war between the light and the darkness and stuff like that. It works so well. What also works really well in this first issue is actually the banter between Dork and the shield. Like the comedy in this is really, really funny, I have to say. Like there were moments where I was just laughing out loud between all the different banter that was going on and stuff. Where this also works really well is the action. The action is like on point. I didn't expect it to be so over the top and violent. It's not grotesque in any way, but it very much like wets my whistle, and one might say, and very is like Invincible-esque in the over the top fights that we get in this, which are quick but very well done. I found it very interesting in this that Dork does not choose a side when it comes to the dark or the light side. He kind of goes off and does his own thing, because when we find out the dark and light are very much both the same thing and are two sides of the same coin, I feel like there's going to be a little bit of like political undertones in this, with like the light and the darkness, and seeing how like Dork is going to end up shaping this world in the future, I find very fascinating. I want to see like where Dork came from. He came from the scar, but how did he get there? Like, I want to know more about this shield. Like, it left me with so many unanswered questions, but those are questions that I'm willing to go forth and find reading the issues moving forward. Like, this was a fun book, and it took me by surprise. I have nothing bad to say about it, but just kind of weird. Like, it was just fun. Sometimes you just need a fun book to read that doesn't really take itself that seriously, but this is well worth your time. I know issue number one, it did sell out within this week of recording. It sold out and has gone into a second printing. Hopefully people can get this and read it. This is well worth your time, and I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. I'm Otaku Mike. Peace out, stay safe, and go read some comic books.